Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let us continue with the point where we had left yesterday. So, the point under the discussion was Hegel's objection is that these mysterious conceptions of divine cannot be clearly manifested in concrete individual form. So this is obvious, and all of us, certainly being students of literature, know very well that all those uh, points are all those most important mysterious conceptions cannot be presented through art, right? So this is only uh, for art. This is only possible to present means the ideas which are limited. So, for example, the Chinese, Indian, and Egyptians, in their artistic shapes, images of gods and idols never get beyond formlessness or bad and untrue uh, define, definiteness of form. So here he has given examples of Indians and Egyptians and Greeks as well, that they simply presented their images in the form of statues, okay, and they were only in their uh, definite or in their limited form. They could not master true beauty because their mythological ideas. It means that man should not be only limited to mythology or other type of limited ideas. Beauty requires means vastness of brain to present those ideas. So here, the content and thought of their work of art were still indeterminate or determined badly. It means that, so because of that, their thoughts could not find the proper way to be presented, and so did not consist of content which is absolutely in itself. So certainly there was a problem in the content as well. Content means spirit, with such means the idea and its configuration remain incompatible. Point number two, classical art. Classical art corrects the failing of symbolic art. In order to, in order to fulfill the weaknesses of symbolic art, classical art was introduced or put forward. It is the free and adequate embodiment of idea in the shape peculiarly appropriate to the idea itself in its essential nature. It means that classical art was more appropriate than that of symbolic art. Okay? And it was really the embodiment of the idea. Means idea was presented in such a way that uh, the work of art was certainly acknowledged and appreciated. With this shape, therefore, the idea is able to come into free and complete harmony. It means that with the shape of classical art, idea got its freedom, and harmony was also created. among the people. In other words, we can say that people were ready to accept and understand the idea. Classical art at last actualizes the idea. It means that the real actualization or the real understanding of the uh, idea became possible uh, through the classical art. Concept and reality successfully conform to one another. Now, see, concept and reality. Number one, your idea, your concept. On the other hand, reality. Reality itself an idea. Hegel says that the original concept, which probably means God, invented the shape for concrete spirit, human beings, through whom spirit is expressed. Now, see, we have discussed the same point yesterday in detail. I gave you example of man himself. That man is a combination of two. One is spirit and other is body. So same thing over here has been mentioned. With the spirit of art finds the most appropriate form for free individual spirituality. Thus, classical art takes the human body for its subject. Okay, human body is a subject for classical art, but it is not the human body as merely sensuous, contingent, and finite. It is purified to be adequate for the spirit. Human body means not the body of each and every human being. Okay? Why? Because all the human beings are not equal as far as their performance is concerned, as far as their characteristics are concerned, as far as their qualities are concerned. All human beings are not equal at all. How? There are so many types of people who are running behind the sensuous type of things in the world. So they don't have any type of idea of spirit and soul and importance of it and spirituality and transcendental world and the world of imagination and the absolute one. Okay. And here it means that such type of body must be purified. Purified for what? To be adequate for the spirit. The weakness in classical art is that spirituality has to be a sort that can be expressed in human form. Now see that this is the weakness that we, for the sake of understanding, give examples of human body, right? But here he has called it weakness that only human form is the means of projecting the idea. The spirit is at once determined as particular and human, not as purely absolute and eternal. Now see that the body is not eternal, body is not absolute. A spirit is therefore not represented according to its true nature. It means that a spirit cannot be represented in any form in the most proper way or in its truest form. This brings about the dissolution of classical art and its replacement with the third higher form. It means that this dissolution is not possible and we cannot replace spirit with any other form over here. Romantic art. A romantic form of art goes beyond and above classical art. In classical art, the concrete content of the artwork is implicitly or indirectly the unity of divine and human and is expressed in immediate, sensuous way. It means that in classical form, classical is certainly an indirect approach. A higher state is when unity of divine expressed in an immediate, sensuous way. Sorry, a higher state is when the unity of divine And human is known, not implicit. It means that the aim behind it is the higher level of art is that when man does not find any type of hindrance or uh, mm, uh, any type of difference between Almighty Allah and Himself, God and Himself. It means that there must not be any type of difference. This difference is significant. Humankind becomes conscious of itself as an animal and attains knowledge of itself as a spirit. Now, as far as the consciousness is concerned, then we understand it or we conceive it through body, and animals also have bodies. But when we attain knowledge, when we acquire knowledge of ourselves, then we are very much close to spirit. Our spirit is always at work. It means that in order to know yourself, you will certainly require lot of knowledge. And with the help of that knowledge, you will be, you will be very much close to your Lord, especially after identifying yourself. This goes hand in hand with Christian religion, as opposed to the Greek religion, most appropriate to the classical art, unlike with the Greek gods. So it means that here he has given the example of Christianity. Uh, and as compared to Christianity, Greek religion is not appropriate. Why it is not appropriate? Because Greek religion is based on mythologies, whereas Christianity is based on the revealed book. So this is the difference over here. Christianity brings God before our imagination as a spirit. Christianity brings God before our imagination as a spirit, not as an individual, particular spirit, but as absolute in spirit and in truth. It means that the Christianity certainly brings Almighty Allah. It helps us out to understand Almighty Allah with the help of our spiritual powers, but not as an individual particular spirit, but as absolute in spirit and truth, but not as an individual man or individual or a common man. You will certainly be very much close to Almighty Allah spiritually when you will attain the highest level of spiritual world, and you certainly follow the truth. At this stage, or when you attain certain type of stage, then Almighty Allah means, sorry, you will be able to understand Almighty Allah. I can give you examples, but all those examples are in certainly poetry form. That, for example, it is the pure mysticism that man, when poet says that after struggling to find Almighty Allah, I means moved on the stones, I moved on the mountains, and day and night I tried my level best to find him out. And after so many years of my journey, I One day, when I could not be able to move even a step, then I realized that oh, where that why I am trying my level best to achieve Almighty Allah outside of me. And when I thought over, I felt that Almighty Allah, our God, is my inner self. Right? And the saying of Prophet, peace be upon him, is that whole the universe is very little for the existence of Almighty Allah, for the name of Almighty Allah. But heart of moment is the dwelling place of Almighty Allah. So here, if you compare this mystic philosophy to the idea before us, then you will be able to understand. The non-unity of divine and human nature is realized in spirit. It means that when your spirit is united with absolute one, you can realize it through spirit. For example, it is not tied to sensuous presentation, but is freed from immediacy. It means that uh, at that stage of life, you will be very much above from this sensuous world or this material world. Thus, romantic art, the self transcendence of art, but within its own sphere and in the form of art itself. In, in romantic art, what happens that you will feel yourself as if you are flying, or you transcend spiritually, and you will certainly be limited to your own self or oneself. Okay, for example, we those people who are very much near to Almighty Allah, who are very much near to Allah, Almighty Allah, even if they are among the crowd, that they may they may look at whole the universe while standing over there, and even the rest of people are unable to see the same thing or whatever he is enjoying. And the other scientific example of the same is that in Hamlet, in Hamlet, son of king only sees ghost, whereas his mother was also present along with him, but she was unable to see it. Right? So it is the individual type of thing that individually we can perceive. The subject matter of art is now very concrete spirituality. The spirituality that is very much free, free for individual. Art must work for subjective, in depth, in inward depth. So art is for subjective purpose, and there should be in depth of ideas, and therefore can no longer have an adequate union with the external medium of the artwork. Now, see that extra as far as the artwork is concerned, it is only the medium, and but it's as far as its appearance is concerned, then it is entirely different type of thing. But these people who are in search of spirit, they move towards the absolute with the help of their own spirit or through the spiritual world. Thus, the sensuous externality of shape is accepted and represented. So only we accept and present the shapes of the things as in a symbolic art, as something inessential and transient. And symbolic art is means unnecessary type of thing, and it is a trifle type of thing. The aspect of external existence is consigned to the contingency and abundant to the adventure devised devised by devised by imagination, whose impulse can mirror what is present to it. Okay? Just as readily as it can jumble and shapes of jumble the shapes of external world and distort them grotesquely. It means that now see that all these external shapes are only for only means for presentation, but the imagination and the impulse of imagination you can see in the mirror of your own. Mirror of your own means in your own imagination, in your own personality. Otherwise, there are so many shapes in front of you. For this external medium has its essence and meaning no longer as in classical art. As far as the external shapes are concerned, then they are meaningless in itself and its own sphere. But in the heart, which finds its manifestation in itself instead of in the external world and its form of reality. It means that as far as your heart is concerned, then it is certainly manifestation. Manifestation in itself, or your heart certainly becomes mirror, which will reflect each and everything. As far as the external world is concerned, then now external world is nothing for you, and you will be in search of reality. As in symbolic art, idea, content, and shape or form are inadequate to each other. Means all these things are means temporary. But in romantic art, the idea is perfected in itself as spirit and heart in the higher perfection. Now see, but as far as the romantic art is concerned, in romantic art, certainly imagination, highest level of thinking, reflection will take you upward, where your spirit and heart will be united. And that is the highest level of perfection. Thus, the symbolic, classical, and romantic art forms consist respectively in the striving for. Now, all these forms are the aim of all these forms is only one. They struggle only to achieve one thing, the attainment of, okay, attainment of and the transcendence of ideal as the true idea of beauty. It means that only one means function of all these three, and that is are the one aim of all these three uh, uh, types of art, and that is the attainment. Attainment means that you may transcend from this world. You may start your journey from this material world to the ideal world. Okay? And then afterwards, that journey will help you out in order to attain, in order to achieve idea of beauty. Okay, I give you examples. I give you examples of truth and beauty. That truth and beauty are the two sides of one coin, and truth of beauty are two aspects of Almighty Allah. That's all. Point number 3: the system of individual arts. The final section of introduction discusses types of art which correspond to the forms or stages of fine arts and explained above. Hegel is of the view the general forms of art must be the fundamental principles for the articulation and determination of the individual arts. It means that all these things are general forms are certainly very much important. In other words, the kinds of arts have the same essential distinctions in themselves, which we came to recognize in the general forms of art. It means that uh, 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 this is the first stage, for example. Form is the first stage over here. So it is so all these forms are essential. Essential for what? To achieve the highest level of idea of beauty, to achieve the highest level of spiritual world, or to achieve the highest level of absolute himself. Each form of art, either it may be symbolic, classical, romantic, corresponds to kind of art that it is in harmony with any type of art. For example, sculpture, painting, and etc. Most adequate to it. Helpfully, Knox adds in footnote. Uh, Here, all these three forms have been further explained by Knox. No form of art is wholly actualized in one kind of art alone. It means that uh, you will never find only one form in uh, one kind of art. It requires the others, even if they take a subordinate place. Thus, while one kind of art may belong par excellence to one form of art, so it may be possible that the one form of art may present the means the most attractive uh, form of thing. It also appears to some extent in other forms and may be said to present them all. So it means that we have different type of arts, and through different type of works of art means different type of forms are always presented. Symbolic art, correspondence to architecture. Now, if you want to see the examples of symbolic art, then architecture is the best example. The inorganic external world has been purified, set in order symmetrically, and made into spirit. But in the heavy, immediately external matter of building, the idea cannot be realized. So over here, we have the symbolic form, and through this form, through this work of art, the one of the form is presented. Classical art corresponds to sculpture. Through sculpture, spiritual individuality is made to stand before us. Now, as we have the statues of so many people, are so many means historical figures. Okay, for example, a sculpture of Allama Iqbal in Germany. So when we look at it, then this form of art immediately takes us to the life and works of Allama Iqbal. That, for example, we think for time being, if Allama Iqbal can achieve the highest level of his life, then why can't we? How we can achieve that we may be most prominent and popular throughout the world? What is the contribution of Allama Iqbal? At least if we can get an idea. If we are unable to be Allama Iqbal, then at least we may be able to put ourselves on the track of or the same track of Allama Iqbal, and to reach at certain point, either of the lowest level, but we will certainly feel change in ourselves. I think that time is running out. So if it is, and then we will continue after 10 minutes, please.